For this game too. Welcome back, Dota 2 fans. Buenos dias, aficionados de Dota 2. South American Qualifier Grand Final Sacred taking a 1-0 lead over Infamous, looking very good as far as their team fights went. I think both teams drafted pretty well around their comfort picks, as well as just kind of counterpicking what the opponent had. But Sacred are the ones to take the lead. The all-important first game in this best-of-5 series. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday and that you enjoyed your weekend thus far. First phase of bans, at least the first 3 bans, are identical to Game 1. A little bit of a switch up from Sacred. They did ban Night Soccer, but they banned the Beastmaster first. And they do have second pick in this match. So we'll see if they let that slip and give Infamous the chance to pick it up. Doesn't seem like Sacred's scared of the Undying at all. Being a team that plays it fairly often themselves, they seem to be well equipped to deal with it. Papita mulling over his third ban in the first phase, and he will take out the Wyvern despite having first pick here, as Wyvern's been a pretty popular first pick along with Rubik. Lich still kind of hanging around as first phase worthy depending on the team. It will be the Beastmaster ban from Sacred that I mentioned. And I wouldn't hate for Infamous to take a page out of Crit's book back when he was drafting and pick up the Puck early on, as he can play it, and it is rather flexible, and it is a great hero for Leo style. We'll see if Sacred gives any sort of precedence to it. They'll pick up the clock for themselves in this one after Game 1, and Matthew's performance on it certainly sufficient, to say the least. They go for the Clockwork Rubik. Talked about Rubik being very common in the first phase, and just makes a lot of sense. Instant cast point disable, so much big playability. You know, the changes to Null Field making him a little bit more potent and as far as his aggressive movements in the early game.
Earth Spirit.
And the support duo going to be revealed here for Infamous, likely revealed for Sacred as well, but there's potential for the core Clockwork. I doubt we'll see any sort of core Earth Spirit or AA for Infamous. But that does already give them some good pick-off potential. Earth Spirit, very mobile hero, can set up across the map. Lots of utility there. And the Ancient Apparition, of course, quite good against the Clockwork, who essentially sets himself up for a nice blast, but ideally you do want to hit multiple heroes with that spell. It can be an absolute tide turner in the fights. Sven ban coming out from Sacred. Not a hero that's been paid much mind in this qualifier overall, much to my surprise. Sven has been ignored rather frequently in these drafts. But Blink Dagger Carrier with a 2-second stun, you know, once it scales. Used to be 2 seconds at level 1. Pretty damn good setup, and a lot of burst damage to put you into or nearby that shatter range. Also, AA and Earth Spirit just in general give enough control and slow to kind of mitigate one of Sven's weaknesses before he picks up BKB, which is simply being kited. Both teams taking their time throughout the series today, but bans haven't changed much. The Sven is kind of the first curveball from either team here. I suppose with an opening that includes AA, it's just far too hard to lock down a Weaver. And Infamous has been banning this hero almost every single game. Faceless Void going to come out. Very throwback combination with the Ancient Apparition. In fact, even better than it once was with the new Icy Vortex. Actually, they never increased the amplification, did they? It's just the move speed. So, Void's, the reason I mentioned that, Void's time lock is magical. So, Icy Vortex actually increases the amount of damage he does in the Chronosphere if the Ancient Apparition is in the vicinity. Earthshaker ban comes out from Infamous, and considering the way King Tekka played on it last game, that is more than warranted. Wouldn't be too surprised to see the Lifestealer from Sacred, although it does feel a bit early. They're more than likely looking at their off-lane selection here. But it is something Benjaz has felt comfortable on to me, and it combos nicely with the Clockwork. It's great against the AA and the Earth Spirit, who do predominantly magic damage. It'll be the puck for Leosal. This is the first time in, I want to say, 7 games straight that I've casted for Sacred or watched for Sacred that they actually have Leostyle's puck come out. Actually, let me rephrase that, because I think the last 2 series were 2 gamers. So let's say 5 games. It's been a while in any case before Leostyle gets his puck, and I consider him very adept at the hero. So hopefully he, haven't cursed him and he plays to his general standard that he's set on the hero. And it's truly not surprising to me at all that they spend that pick this early. Sand King going to come out for Infamous, so will be a 3-position Sand King in all likelihood. Try and help get his levels up early. Get a better range of initiation against heroes like the puck. Can point click that burrow. So it can be a little more reliable than some other projectile stuns against the phase shift ready puck. And makes the Lifestealer even better in my eyes for Sacred side. There being really no physical damage at all. For Infamous. It's Sand King, traditionally pretty good against 1v1 melee in lane, but with the Feast sustain and the Rage, Lifestealer are not that threatened. Gives you a building siege as well. Just trying to contemplate some alternatives. Yeah, Juggernaut, certainly kind of the catch-all in that safe lane. Gives you a little bit of sustain, some building hit ability with the spell immunity. So similar to the Rage, you have the Blade Fury, essentially. A little less physical burst per right click, but he has the burst of the Omnislash. Often is a Manta builder as well, so when you get silenced by the Earth Spirit, you can't Rage, but you can absolutely Manta to Blade Fury, Manta to Omnislash. And again, similar in vein to the Lifestealer in the sense that he can Healing Ward himself up, much like the Lifestealer can kind of feast himself up. In the lane versus the Sand King. Certain kill potential with these heroes as well versus the SK. Clockwork Rubik Jugger, that is. So lacking their 2 major cores are Infamous. They're going to go for the CK here. Not a pick we see all that often. A great laner alongside Ancient Apparition and Earth Spirit. I mean, with the Rocket Flare talent, Fade Bolt, Puck's Toolkit, they're decent at dealing with illusions to the extent that I don't even think it's necessary for the Juggernaut to go Maelstrom Mjolnir. But that is certainly going to be high on the priority list as far as his item progression goes. Bat Rider band going to come out from Infamous, and Viper is actually the band to come out from Sacred. Haven't seen much of Viper in the South American region, although many other regions have adopted him as a pretty regular pick.
Templar.
Oh, here's a switch up. So a lot of physical burst now amongst the cores of Infamous, really diversifying their damage profile. First 3 picks were essentially purely magic damage, and the Chaos Knight Templar Assassin gives them a world of hurt as far as physical goes. Gives them the ability to take Roshan. Still not perfect at hitting buildings. You do have the armlet wielding Chaos Knight more than likely, but and in fact the Viper band from Sacred pretty much seals their fate as far as giving up the Templar Assassin pick. I mean, you'd be versus a Puck in 99% of drafts anyways, but they could kind of switch it. Could have switched it up, the Puck off to off lane. He's decent against the CK, as you can dodge the Chaos Bolt. So offlaner more than likely being mulled over here for Sacred. And it's going to be the Magnus, so help the Juggernaut scale a little bit. And even further kind of deal with the illusions of the CK. A lot of eyes on Pepita in the mid lane in this one on the TA. If he gets off to a good start, they don't have many great answers for him. You know, barring like an Ice Blast steal, there really is no damage over time on Sacred side. Blade Fury, probably their best tool at cutting through the refraction charges. Look at that Immortal, just hovering. It's paused. Yeah. I believe we are paused currently, but there we go. We'll get underway here, guys. Game 2. Grand Final South American Qualifier for the Summit 8, the minor to occur in December. Sacred with a 1-0 lead over Infamous. And the 5th pick TA for Pepita seems to be slated to have a good game hero matchup-wise. We're unpaused, right? Help. Help, Valve. One thing we can say for both teams is that they certainly have picked heroes for which most of them have very nice cosmetics. Although I will say that the Kotaro Chaos Knight, not his best looking safe laner. Kind of the one bright spot it felt for the most part in Game 1 was that lone Druid. And you can attribute that to the space created by the rest of Infamous, but Kotaro seemed to be positioned pretty well for the most part. On the right position in the map as well, as far as taking the early towers. But so some really good execution overall in those team fights. As Schofield going to smoke himself up and roll forward, looking to get a ward down. King Tekka, no ward on his person, so not going to make his way up to the northern side of this Radiant offlane.
Each blow sharpens our blade.
Benjaz just not opting to clothe himself for this match. He'll just stay still, damn it.
My gratitude.
Now he stays still.
Each blow sharpens our blade.
Alright, I give up. So it looks like everyone going to play it rather safe here as far as the first rune engagement. There is dire vision on the cliff, however, scouting King Tekka currently. And they're wrapping the Earth Spirit around, perhaps to try and get the roll initiation off. And this could be a dead mag. Roll coming through. It is indeed a perfect location. King Tekka not even going to think of grabbing the rune. He will be forced to skill Skewer first, although that's not terribly uncommon for offlane Magnus. And so rune is going to be secured. That'll be 2 for 2 still when all is said and done, as the Radiant were able to grab this bounty rune. Leo Style with a nice block in the mid lane. We'll see how he fares against the TA, who's got a decent matchup and probably a slight advantage versus the Puck overall. At least once levels start to get up, but has gone for the side blades first, and good recognition from Leo Style to try and punish her out of lane early with no refraction. Get the full effectiveness out of his magic damage nukes. Nice denial there from Pepita though. Schofield, meanwhile, in the top lane. Looks like he got skewered under tower. Is forced to salve here, and the salve will keep him alive, but gets rather low. So King Tekka styling already in this lane. Matthew, battery assault out bottom lane onto Stinger, and going to keep pace on him. Now they have a lift as well. Burrow Strike comes through, but this is going to mean they can lift him back into the battery assault. They have the Blade Fury as well. Stinger in trouble. Gave up first blood in game 1 and may just give it up in game 2 with the last tick of that Blade Fury. Nicely executed gank by both Masoku and Matthew, and just in the nick time, the rotation comes through from Benjaz. 7 seconds until Skewer is available here. So King Tekka just wants to continue trading, try and skewer them back towards the tower, and yeah, they are weary of the attempt this time, as he's already apparently successfully done it. Old Stinger didn't have the point in Caustic there, and Matthew feeling pretty confident to go snag away his rune. Already level 2 on the clockwork means he can get quite a bit done in this early game. Arcane rune in the river as well. Burrow Strike going to fly out bottom lane, as Old Stinger just cleaning up the wave. And Leo Style 10-3 to the 6-2 against the TA. Of course, Pepita, now that he's got a couple levels in refraction, this should get a lot easier as far as last hitting goes with the extra bit of damage. I just love watching this guy laying on puck, and I am keeping the eyes peeled on the mini-map, boys, but we've got a couple of offlaners who are currently not present in their lanes. King Tekka has done the walk of shame, it seems, back to base as Matthew rotates up top, and we'll take out the ward, though, so well worth his while the trip is, it seems. Meanwhile, mid lane, Earth Spirit rotating through the puck. The phase shift's already been used by Leo Style, but he's able to dodge it rather easily. It was not scouted as well, so perhaps just a bit of fortune there for the puck. But he will continue to survive nonetheless. Matthew pressing forward, looking for the cogs, gets the bounce, at least burn the mana away from Pepita. Now, however, there is, okay, a clarity flying out. No bottle. And I missed a kill. Nice. Eyes peeled my ass. Friggin' MRP. Tranquil's up for Matthew, so he's traversing the map rather quickly. And all things relatively even across the board. Perhaps the major gap, if you take a look, you know, in relative matchups, is that Stinger's got 13 CS on the Sand King, and King Tekka's Magnus only sitting on 4 currently. However, you gotta assume some of those are definitely jungle creeps for Stinger. who's a little bit better at farming those. Alright, invisibility rune for Matthew. Pepita is pretty low here. Gets the refraction off though, needs to start burning it, and now gets cogged in. Battery assault will be there as well. TA in trouble. Illusory orb comes through. Waning rift is there. One more right click, and they'll miss the rolling boulder. Leo style may have it. Yep, the cold feet is going to proc here. Matthew with the battery assault. Boulder smash connects onto 2. Rocket flare does a little bit more damage, and now the orb flying Leo style though. Oh, he jaunts over to the Earth Spirit and gets the big right click. Has a magic wand charge and will be able to phase shift away. Huge plays by Leo style's puck, and this is exactly what I was talking about in the draft screen, as right on the 5-minute mark. Matthew's rotation will prove to be a successful one. They get the kill on the TA and take a 3-1 lead. Now bottom lane, Burrow Strike is used. Stinger could be in trouble. Matthews rotating in. They get the lift off, and they'll cog him in with the Blade Fury. And that is a very, well, at-risk Sand King. Detection is a good thing to have in Dota 2, ladies and gentlemen. And unfortunately, for Sacred's sake, they did not have it in that bottom lane. Into the Shrine, Excel will go as, okay, somehow they did end up killing off Stinger. And they'll get that done with just a cog bounce and a rocket flare near the Shrine. So good heads up play by Matthew to make that rotation over, and I've missed 2 of 5 kills. Fantastic ratio. Now mid lane, Psionic Trap's going to go out, and Burrow Strike will connect as well. Leo Style's in a lot of trouble and is just dead. So simply, right after I praise him for his puck play, he'll step a bit far forward. Is, you know, in his defense, lacking a bit of vision in this mid lane. Doesn't see much at all, and the Dire side have quite a bit of information at their disposal. Leo Style make his way back to lane as he dings level 6. Pepita about half a level ahead of him, in fact. And with the double damage rune, he's going to get coiled up, though, in the mid lane. Pepita now dropped down. There is a sentry on the ground for the Radiant, and this should be a dead TA, and indeed it is. So perhaps sporting a bit of hubris on the Templar Assassin after the kill, also holding onto a DD rune, and Matthew on the clockwork, much like he did in game 1, going to punish a bit of an overstep. Spirit for Schofield going to rotate in to at least soak some of this experience as his Templar Assassin has vacated the mid lane. Up to 20 last hits now is King Tekka on the Magnus, and that is right on equal with the Sand King. So he's closed that gap rather admirably. Burrow Strike going to come through bottom lane. Stinger looking to clean up the wave, and they will find the Blade Fury there. He's going to take quite a bit of damage. Benjas did have the Omni Slash, but perhaps the Sand King just slightly too tanky. If you get an unfortunate bounce back to that creep, it's only 2 jumps, so. The Taro, we haven't talked about him much, and, you know, 26 denies, 55 last hits, pretty darn good. So he's doing what's expected of him in this early game. Matthew makes a rotation up, gets the Icy Vortex down, and the Cold Feet. Excel does, excuse me, as he was looking for the Bounty Rune. Secures hit for his side. Leo Style's going to bottle up an Illusion Rune on the puck. And Schofield again in the mid lane, soaking some experience. Actually, his Illusory Orb catches Vision of Excel on the Ancient Apparition as well. But a little bit of deep vision for the Dire side in the top lane, so it doesn't look like they'll make any reactionary rotations to the knowledge of the Ancient Apparition. Masoku, he's going to be scouted here. Stinger takes out some creeps. Take a look at the net worth for the first time here, 9 minutes into the game, and slight lead for Sacred accrued in the lanes. They do have a 5-2 kill lead. Orb was used mid lane, and Excel hanging around here, but the TA's off farming Ancients, or Pepita, as TAs tend to do. working on a Veil for the puck first item on Leo style. He does this pretty often, and you know, with squishy supports like the AA and Earth Spirit, and even to some extent the Sand King if his levels are a little bit lacking. He actually is level 7 at this point.
Illusion.
Kick away from Schofield. As Leo style tries to whittle down this tower, but becomes rather difficult with the pullback on the creeps.
Incoming.
Off to the other side, Pepita will go as he looks to stack this camp. And we'll have a brief pause here. See, I predicted the future, guys. I knew it would be brief. Leo style, thinking of making a rotation over towards the Ancients, but we'll at least for now pick up the Arcane rune. Of course, awesome rune to have on puck. We'll get caught with this Ionic Trap. Sideblades will not hit him, though. And bottom lane, they'll go in onto Old Stinger. Nice cog. Bounce back will stop the Sandstorm from channeling. Unfortunately, it's out of range of Ben has his spin. But a couple right clicks, Rocket Flare will finish off that Sand King promptly. And that drop for him is going to put King Tekka right where he needs to be as far as being as farmed as his equivalent. And now Ben has, well, he wants to get to work here. He's going to be given the Empower and will do indeed just that. Meanwhile, bottom lane, they do kill off the Clockwork and take a huge Ancient stack away. There is an Arcane rune for Leo style, though, as he's going to orb through and think about fighting this. They are going to bring in a few more heroes. Masoku, namely one of them. They'll Reality Rift back the puck. They get the stun onto him, and a huge Melt Strike kills him off. Now Masoku nearby in trouble as well. He's going to get dropped. They do not use the RP, and this is going to mean not only the big Ancient stack, but 2 kills as well. Nice body box by his own illusions. Kotaro could have been in a little bit of trouble. Oh, Rocket Flare finishes him off from Matthew. Pepita still hanging around. Excel could be in trouble. Benjaz rotating in. They'll kill off the AA. And the rest of those Ancients are going to be Benjaz's for the taking. 3 big ones as well. So, heavy committal for Infamous. They end up losing the CK because of it. Nice hook shot by Schofield. Roll down to the low ground right into an illusory orb. And Sacred take the necessary precautions fighting around that uphill Ancient area and drag Infamous out long enough to kind of bring the CK down, get Matthew back into the fray, and take a win.
I'll take your tribute.
Benjaz, you see him kind of pole vault up the net worth after that last little bit, farming both this stack and a good portion of the other Ancient stack. Not something you expect as well as Infamous's side, you know. Maybe you do with a Magnus on the team, but in general, Juggernaut, Puck Core, there aren't Ancient stacks prepared usually, but Sacred doing an excellent job securing their economy here, knowing that King Tekka's Magnus going to be able to provide that level 4 Empower. We've seen this 4-3-1 and then 4-4-1 build a lot, with RP coming at level 8 or 9 recently on the Magnus, especially with, you know, cores that can benefit. And which core doesn't benefit? All right, Reality Rift stolen and used by Masoku here. And he can at least bait this illusion. It does look like a real hero. And they will at least get a Chaos Strike out of it. That'll allow Leo style to feel safer with that Chaos Strike used. Now jump forward, hookshot is going to find the CK. They'll Fade Bolt him up. They get the Reality Rift there as well. He has the armlet, but he's going to be dropped down into Telekinesis, and a nuke coming through from Leo style with the Waning Rift finishes off a second hero. That'll be Schofield's Earth Spirit. Not the greatest push lineup, this triumvirate of heroes, so very unlikely to get the tower off the back of it, but a nice couple of kills. And Matthew drops down a ward for the Radiant that scouts Pepita currently, but it does look like the Radiant unit will convene around the shrine for a little team bonding experience. Meanwhile, Benjaz just farming up mid, finishes up the Yasha, and I want to say has an ultimate orb flying out. He indeed does. Feels that farmed on the Juggernaut, 7,700 net worth. And is just a hop, skip, and a jump away from that Manta. Hop, skip, jump. Looks good. Manta style recipe in base. In the meantime, Masoku stacking up the Ancients for him as well. And Rocket Flare scouts Schofield's Earth Spirit, but that'll be all she wrote. $1,400 gold in the pockets of King Tekka on the way to his Blink Dagger as far as his equivalent. Stinger has one. This could be a major tool for Infamous' side as he queues up the Epicenter and they're looking into the Magnus. This will be an easy kill. Meld Strike will finish him off with authority for Pepita. Epicenter Blink revealed as well. Under the cover of smoke is Leo Style. Has a Veil available, but it's very close to the Blink Dagger. I'm not sure if they want to fight this. Veil flies out. Illusion Orb doesn't connect onto much. Hookshot back, though, is going to isolate the CK, and with the Blade Fury on top of him, he cannot armlet toggle. Ice Blast seem to have whiffed as well. Nice Burrow Strike, and the Magnetize coming through, though. They're taking a lot of damage, and two will fall simultaneously. That's going to be Leo Style and Masoku. Now Matthew in trouble. Pepita finishes him off. Benjaz out by his lonesome. Does get the spin off, though. And a jump forward from Magnus. Finds the RP. Do they have enough to kill the TA? They do. Even with the Boulder Smash from Schofield. The return of King Tekka to the top lane will tip the balance to make it at least roughly even. It's going to be 500 net experience going the way of Sacred. But gold is rather even. Benjaz, though, surviving for most of that, is going to end up with 438 extra gold. Beautiful Burrow Strike there from Stinger. Else, that engagement goes a lot worse for Infamous. Right on top of the Magnetize as well. They missed the Ice Blast before that.
Regeneration.
Or at least missed most heroes. It looked to me as if the Ice Blast did not connect. I don't know what that means, guys. I do know what XD means, roughly. Oh, Phantasm used. And Matthew gets the cogs off. Icy Vortex is there. He hooks away. Right click following. Oh, Stinger in trouble now. And will burrow through. Ice Blast gonna fly. Masoku does get caught by it. He will drop as well. The two supports, a little bit of savior teammate syndrome there. Phantasm is used, but not a major concern for Infamous as they'll be able to take the tower with it more than likely here. And no real trades being found in sight across the map. I mean, Benjaz is certainly farming away, but as far as structural damage goes for Sacred, they're not getting too much done as their tier 1 drops bottom lane. Now Earth Spirit rotating in towards the mid. Benjaz. Nearby, Kotaro comes in. Doesn't even have the mana for a Chaos Bolt, so. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Masoku TPing into the trees. We'll get a steal off. It is going to be the Refraction. Meanwhile, mid lane, engagement breaking out, and with the coil, they'll be able to bring down the Chaos Knight. Jump forward, RP's going to find another. Leo Style is there with his full complement of spells, and couple of more right clicks. Well, the urn is there. They have the shrine as well. Do they want to continue to chase? Leo Style nearby. The shockwave connects. Leo Style is able to jaunt out and put Psionic Trap is waiting for him there though. And he's got a phase shift blink. Nicely played by Leo. He even jukes the cameraman. And we'll make it up to the north. As I mentioned, 48 times so far since the draft. Leo Style is a very comfortable puck player. 1,400 gold in his pockets on top of the Blink Veil. Matthew's got himself a Midas on the Clockwork, and the Blink Dagger, we saw it used there on top of the Earth Spirit for King Tekka. CK does have his Echo Saber now on top of the armlet, but well shy of the net worth mark that the Benjaz Juggernaut has set in this game. Almost 5k behind. And that is pretty much the entire lead. Right there is between the Juggernaut and Chaos Knight. Everyone else rather even. Been saying rather a lot today, more than I'm used to.
Silence. Here I am.
Nothing much for the Radiant to take in this mid lane at the moment, as the tier 1's already been eliminated. Okay, Cog's going to be popped up by Matthew, perhaps feeling a little bit hesitant to farm that right side camp, so doesn't want to make his way all the way over here. Cog's the creeps back in. May have actually saved his life with the psionic trap down. So RP is level 2 now. Matthew's going to make his way back to base. Benjaz joining up with the mag, has already completed a Scotty on top of his Manta. And he is a player who definitely favors Blink on Juggernaut. And he's got it queued up currently. Mid lane, Pepita is actually all by his lonesome, perhaps kind of baiting Sacred into thinking he has backup and therefore allowing them to go forward top lane. There's a CK here. He's all by his lonesome. They will skewer him back into the Omni. Beautifully executed. Benjaz just waiting patiently, and the counter initiation from Schofield was non-existent against the mag. This is going to mean they can take a look at Roche here as they do a little bit of dewarding around the pit, and despite Infamous being well aware of this attempt, there's not much they can do, it feels. Matthew, though, could be a little bit caught here. He gets a hook shot off onto the TA. Gonna get the urn charge off, but she blinks before Refraction is down. Schofield, he's out in no man's land, as is Excel. They'll bring him down. Epicenter coming through onto 2 and doing a decent amount of damage, but the follow-up is just not there. Coil is gonna keep Pepita nearby. He will blink and snap it. Can they continue to pursue, though, as Matthew will bring down the Sand King? And it doesn't look like they'll be too intent on chasing down the TA. Rocket Flare is going to scout Schofield. He'll cancel the TP of the Rubik as Pepita rotating in from the north, thinking about the Rubik kill, but we'll think better of it. So no Roche for Sacred, but they will grab a couple of kills in that skirmish. And some good gold going into the pockets of Leo style. That's just the Earth Spirit kill. They also got the Sand King. Unfortunately, could not continue to pursue the TA. Solar Crest is up onto Matthew. Any other big item pickups to speak of? Looks like a Pike being worked on by Pepita after the Blink Deso. And Ben has 1,500 gold on the way to his prospective Blink Dagger. Could always be, you know, something like a Maelstrom as well up against the CK.
And it's off.
At last.
That should help.
Illusion.
What have we here?
Both teams have done a stellar job as far as dewarding goes, and as you can see, the Dire side only really see this. The Radiant, well, they've got one ward down that spots the Ancient Apparition, and a defensive one by their Tier 1 top, which is still up here 22 minutes into the game. So just another access point to that Roche pit that they've been able to keep on the map. Matthew, cooldown efficiency. Help. Help. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Midas a creep, you stupid hoe. Jump forward, RP is gonna find the CK. It's the lyrics of the song, guys. I don't actually think Matthew's a stupid hoe. But CK a little bit far out. And the whole time I was still clicking on the clockwork. He just used his Midas, boys. So 2 big wins for Sacred. Now they'll jump into the Roche pit looking for a third. Beautiful RP from King Tekka, although he did have vision nearby, so not as if it was blind, but it was valuable for sure. Now bottom lane, Masoku going to jump forward. Oh, he's going to get stunned up by the smash. Silence is there too. He's just going to get obliterated as valiantly he tries to defend his Tier 2. But Infamous will be fine to trade that for the Roche, and they may grab a Sand King kill as well. Orb will fly through. Coil even going to be used there. They do have a Desolator TA, though, bottom lane. They are going to have to address this. She will push rather quickly. See, I said it again. I don't know. Pour Staff out and TP away for Pepita, but he will at least stymie the bleeding for now, as he dissuades Sacred from continuing to push forward. And the Star player for Sacred Leo has picked up his Boots of Travel in addition to the Yule Scepter. And continue to get active with the Clockwork and the Magnus, making plays and pushing out the other lanes. Really, Puck and TA, excuse me, the only hero on Infamous that can push waves. So having Puck and Juggernaut with the Empower to do so on the opposite sides is a pretty big advantage. Jump forward, Pepita's going to get Yules'd up. This is the kind of stuff I was talking about. Throws his orb down, blinks forward, Yules him just to delay things out, but then jaunts back, knowing he's safe, doesn't have any backup nearby, but hanging around. You know, if he finds a straggler here, they do have this vision on the cliff, and if he's to find a straggler in the lane, can coil him up, request TPs. And Pepita is hanging around here top lane. Rotations through on the east side, though, from the Magnus. And now TPs from Matthew as well. Epicenter going to come through, and it connects onto 3, doing a lot of damage, but a big RP. Omni Slash going to come through as well. King Tekka and Benjaz are shredding through Infamous. They take out the TA, the CK, and the ES, and the Waning Rift. Double kill for Leo Style will finish off the Sand King as well. All they lose is Matthew, and from the grave, he communicates well played to his teammates. Sacred baiting them in with a TP. The RP right there, even though a good Epicenter came through from the Sand King. The reactionary RP and the full-on combo from Benjaz and Leo Style is enough to win them that fight rather handily. Excuse me. So 4 heroes down for another 5 seconds. The tier 2 at least will drop in Sacred's favor. But doesn't feel like they can get much more. Though they do, however, get... Well, this ward was already up. They do, however, get this ward down. So a little bit more information for them to perhaps facilitate pickoffs into taking this tier 2 out. Top lane, King Tekka under tower vision. Okay, he went for the blink. Maybe he forgot he didn't have Skewer. He will turn to empower the Juggernaut, however. Benjaz has a Manta available. Whiffs on the Burrow Strike, does the Sand King. Now Coil hits onto 2. Stinger in trouble. Manta's going to be there. Rocket Flare brings him low. The Illusion finishes him off. And Benjaz takes out the CK. Masoku dies on the south side of the fight. Benjaz going to continue to press forward. Hook shot from Matthew is just going to be into his Juggernauts behind. But it'll give them enough to go on Pepita. And they'll get the TA triple kill for Leo Styles Puck. Again, I talked about it, and Infamous have to know how good this player is on Puck. They give it to him this game. We'll see if they think better of it next game. He's already level 20. 22, excuse me. Will dodge the phase shift here and orb himself away. There is a Blink Burrow Strike available from the Sand King, but it seems as if... Well, maybe Matthew gets caught here, but most of Sacred should make it out alive. Rocket Flare will cancel the blink. Nicely played by the Clockwork and put the blink on cooldown, I should say. And now Pepita. Mid lane. Rocket Flare is there again from Matthew. Now they'll jump forward towards mid. Meanwhile, Hookshot is going to find the TA, though. Matthew, he's probably out in no man's land. Jump forward, RP being queued up. Catches onto 1 at least. Ice Blast will fly through, but the Skewer back into the hands of the Juggernaut and Leo Styles Puck. They'll take out the TA. A lot of Radiant heroes low. Can they finish them off? They take out the Magnus and the Clockwork, and now Benjaz getting to work with the Omni Slash. The Burrow Strike will not connect once again from the Sand King as Leo Style looking to chase forward. Coil will whiff. Earth Spirit makes it out to the north. Benjaz blinks up though before the Earn Tick. Needs a couple right clicks. Can't get it just yet. TP though into mid lane from Leo Style and Orb. He jaunts. Schofield trying to guess, right? Playing nicely on the Earth Spirit, creating some space for his squad with the Blink Dagger. And we'll roll back into the hands of Leo Style. Oh boy. 4 heroes dead, 2 of which have buyback. They're just the supports though. And that is going to mean that with his Butterfly, Benjaz makes quick work of the tower in mid lane. In Han, this hero is called Swift Blade, and his blade looks extra swift at this point. Manta Scotty Blade Fury. I played Dota before Han, guys. Don't worry. Don't call me a Han trash. I'm Dota trash. Oh, one lane Arax taken in the mid lane. Perhaps getting a little greedy here top. Leo Style's a bit low on mana, but they'll get the melee Arax with the spin. Benjaz will blink up to the north, avoid the Ice Blast. Masoku will try to TP out. It's optimistic, but Leo Style covers him with the silence, and the CK cannot get the Chaos Bolt off. Leo Style, though, he's rather low on mana here. Don't know if he can make it out. Has the Yule Scepter, has a blink, does not have TP mana, and a nicely timed Burrow Strike from Stinger will keep him in place. Now Matthew's Clockwork in trouble and will be taken out. Pepita finishes him there. Still, though, just the Clockwork lost is more than a win. And now they're looking to fight here. Jump forward, and somehow RP is going to be there onto the TA. Benjaz in trouble. GG is called. I mean, you can call it premature, but certainly this game looked out of hand for Infamous and Sacred off the back of great play from, I want to say, everyone. I know I keep harping on the Leo Style Puck, who certainly held his own and did end up 14, 3, and 13. But all the players from Sacred looking fantastic here. Benjaz not with a single death in the game. And a couple of nice RPs from King Tekka. 21 kill involvement from the Rubik. And 27 from Matthew's Clockwork. So the support duo very active in that one. And Sacred take perhaps an even more, well, certainly an even more decisive victory in Game 2. And in Game 1, you see the league name, guys. It's Dota Summit 8. Going to be happening in California. Winner of this series is going to move on to join Optic, OG, Fnatic, and Kingwin in California in December. And right now, commandingly so, Sacred have a 2-0 lead. We'll be back with Game 3 shortly.